It's Friday, April 4th. You've got Goose, you got Coach, and once again, you are in the core. Goose, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Coach, what's up?
Hey, man, nothing much. Happy to be here. And today we have a very special guest, the founder of the Proof of Review, and a really good friend of mine, the one and only Growdigi. Grow, what's up, dude? Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you? Man, thanks for having me on.
Oh man, I'm doing excellent, and I know me and Goose are really excited about having you join us as you've taken a deep dive into the Zell project, you know, a couple months ago, and been a part of our community. So definitely excited about having you. So let's kind of hop right on in this thing. You started off as a miner years ago. So crazy to think when you first hopped in this thing, and you've kind of earned OG status in the crypto community. And while many would use that status to maybe do some paid shields or partner up with other projects, kind of something self-serving, you chose to go a different route and decided to kind of create your own ERC token and start the project, the Proof of Review. Tell us a little bit about the thought process of the proof of review and why you feel that was necessary.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, thank you for kind of considering me as an OG. I guess the definition of that term is very vague, but I think it relates to this really well, because I guess people, when they hear that term, they kind of think, well, someone's been around in this industry for quite a while and they've got a relevant amount of experience within a certain sector. And I guess that kind of translates to how people resonate with what they kind of put out, in terms of their expertise. So some people, kind of really good at trading, some people are really good at mining, some people are really just good at kind of doing other things. And that kind of led us to Proof of Review. So I have been mining for quite a while. We're just talking about this off air before we come on. And the noise and the heat of the miners and stuff like that, this is something that sticks with you for a while. And then when you look back and you think wow, I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years of my life. It kind of seems like a long time. It's gone from a hobby more into a career. And I guess that's how kind of Proof of Review came around, in a sense. As I was mining, I would usually have some sort of filter process in place as I got more experience to kind of look at coins and try and evaluate them in some way to basically, get a criteria on which coins maybe stood out better than others. And I guess over time, and especially over the last, let's say 18 or 15 to 18 months, as more and more kind of coins came out in the mining sector, as the space kind of increased, inevitably you find with any hype cycle and kind of any boom cycle, there's kind of projects that come on board that, on the outside may look good and may look kind of shiny and appealing to the user. But as when you delve down and kind of look for more information, kind of do some research, turns out they may not kind of have that substance that you're looking for in terms of a long-term viable investment via, either mining and paying electric bills, or, kind of buying the coin and, looking at the project and hoping that the market cap of the project increases as they deliver on what they promise. So in a nutshell, Proof of Review kind of came around by this, and just kind of, it was a natural extension of kind of having a personal filter process and reviewing projects, then trying to extend that to something in the sector that could be a viable service and a useful tool for people basically looking at projects,
Right.
Trying to filter them out. So yeah, this is how basically Proof of Review came around, I guess.
Yeah, and so and you made mention of the large amount of projects that kind of took over the space probably in 2018, right? You had the 2017 kind of crypto boom, as some people call it, and then all of a sudden you had a bunch of dud projects, projects that were scams and all these type of things. And so, this thing is pretty legitimate in terms of helping, a miner or somebody just looking to trade, find a new gem, kind of vet different projects. So, since the launch of Proof of Review and I believe it was in October, you've reviewed almost 15 different projects. So just real quickly, how has that review process evolved over this period of time?
It's a really good question. So I think kind of linking on to what you mentioned before about kind of being an OG and shilling projects and kind of not going down that road. One thing we were really keen on when we put the reviews out was to initially try and stay as objective as possible. I mean, the idea being, again, because we are experienced people and an experienced team kind of doing proof of review, we don't want to be seen as selling projects just for the sake of it. So I think initially in the beginning, we were really keen just to try and provide as much objective information about a project as possible.
Right.
And exclusively within that review, try and flesh out information from the team that maybe really wasn't publicly available to people, or maybe people hadn't asked that question. Or I guess even more kind of rationally thinking about it, a lot of the time, you know, you guys can probably relate, when you're a member of a coins community, you're in that Discord, you're pretty much up to date with what's going on, what the team's about, how good they are at responding, what the team structure is, etc. Sometimes if you're an outsider looking into a project, it's really hard to kind of do that instantly without taking some time, you know, to kind of get immersed in the community. So again, I guess one of the things around that was trying to provide all the information about a project in one easy to find place where people could read it and hopefully make up their own mind about what they decide. I think as we're now kind of 15 projects in, and the more and more projects we review, the feedback that we're getting from the community is, yes, it's great that, you know, you provide the information about a project in one easy to find place, but I guess what they're looking for is trying to quantify that information a bit more in relation to the industry as a whole, but also other projects that might be competitors.
Right.
What we're finding now is, as we're doing more and more reviews, people do want some sort of subjective, you know, either kind of, you know, input into a certain element of the project. And I'll give a really good example of this in relation to Zel. So, you know, from a personal point of opinion, when we did the review for ZelCash, one of the things that instantly stood out to us was around their team, around the organization, around the experience in the team, and also how they're looking to meet their objectives and how they're kind of communicating with the community around that. Now, when it came to the review itself, we found that really hard to articulate without kind of being too subjective around it.
Right.
Now, I think as time's progressed, people have said, well, we'd rather you prefer you say that and give that opinion because, again, you know, you are experienced people within the space and we do respect your opinion, and it's not always seen as a negative. Sometimes it can be taken by the team as a positive. So, you know, again, a lot of the time with the reviews, there's a review that's seen by the public, but also we do give a lot of input back to the team that we're actually reviewing to make suggestions on maybe that, you know, they could improve this, or this is a really positive element of your project. Maybe let's try and promote that a little bit more. So in a nutshell, as the kind of, you know, reviews are progressing, one of the key things that we are looking for with these reviews is to get input from the community to develop them as best and as, you know, make them as best a resource tool that these guys can use and have at their disposal when looking at projects.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot a little bit, okay? And you kind of segued into the perfect question, okay? So, you know, you just mentioned one of the projects you guys reviewed late December of 2018 was actually Zel. And you know, how was that process? You know, dealing with our team, and then also, you know, what were some of your takeaways? You know, kind of been subjective there. You know, just your personal opinion on a couple of things that you might have saw rolling through that project.
Yeah, of course. I mean, from a personal point of view, ZelCash is a project I've known about since launch. Kind of been up to date with what these guys are doing, their vision, and then kind of as things progressed, like with anyone, you know, sometimes if you're not like immersed in the community, you never really know what's going on. So it was a real pleasure to approach the ZelCash team for a review back in November, December last year. And instantly from the beginning, it was a real pleasure to deal with them. You know, I was kind of speaking to a few members of the team back and forth. One of the elements we do when we do a review is to request a certain amount of information from the team. Again, that process was very seamless. Anything that we requested was provided by the team very promptly. In terms of the review itself, going through the project and kind of meeting out actually kind of the flesh from what's going on and what the team have been kind of working on was, again, a very pleasurable process. You know, a lot of the information around the Zel project is very transparent, it's very clear, it's very easy for someone to find. And it was, it just basically made our process, you know, a lot easier to, you know, to try and get as much information as we could about the project. From a personal point of view, some of the things that stood out around the Zel project initially was, you know, the ZelCore wallet or the ZelCore platform. You know, looking at it graphically, you know, very nice. in terms of user face, very, very easy to use. And, you know, it was a very pleasant surprise to actually log into this thing and see what it actually delivers, in comparison to a lot of projects that are out in the space, and especially from the proof of work sector. Now, not knocking those coins, but traditionally, any coin in the proof of work sector, any development in that project either stalls with a lack of funds or takes a lot longer because usually the teams are a lot smaller. So, you know, that instantly stood out in terms of the development that, you know, in the course of a year, this is what the development team have delivered. But not only that, they've got a lot of other things planned on their roadmap. Delving into the ZelCore platform itself, you know, was very pleasant to actually see that it's a multi-asset platform. So this, you know, this is again kind of differentiating from a lot of projects out there. They are looking to be a hub where you can pretty much store your assets, you know, store them safely, but also be able to trade as well. I know we're going to talk about that a bit later on. And just talking about the storage of assets, one of the things what really appealed to me about the wallet was the Zel ID. The concept of, you know, a two-factor decentralized two-factor authentication is probably my most liked feature on the actual platform itself, because again, it just really gives me a lot of peace of mind to know that if I'm using this as a storage platform for my assets, there is, you know, some element of a, you know, a decentralized two-factor that I can input. So, you know, it's kind of going above and beyond a lot of platforms out there, you know, who maybe just use a generic PIN or something along those lines, which is still again maintained within their database and their storage. So, you know, they were the things that really stood out on the platform. I know I touched on the team briefly before. Yes, I mean, this is again something that really stood out to me in terms of the professionalism of the project. One thing what really kind of appealed to me in terms of the team was their experience and kind of their organization. So again, we review a lot of projects and, you know, we're objective as possible, but we always do have a personal opinion with everything. So again, kind of just talking on that and just kind of, you know, covering the team. It seemed like, you know, they were really intent on getting the right people in the right place to be able to develop the right things in, you know, in a set time frame. Again, organization for me is one of the key things I would look out for when reviewing a project. And I guess, yeah, the final thing I will say in terms of the Zel team, they're very active with their community. They're very aware of the power of their community and how much the people are engaged. So again, very refreshing to see, you know, the level of engagement that they have and how transparent they are with their project, not only in terms of updates that are coming, any potential delays or how work's coming along, but also one thing we really liked, or I personally liked, was the transparency around the management of their developer funds.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's you know, me and Goose have talked plenty about this, just in terms of the activity, the involvement of the community, and once again, the transparency, like you just mentioned. You know, it's key. I think that's all three of those things are key in any project, and Zel kind of checks the boxes on all those. And you know, the kind of last thing, this isn't really a question though, but kind of pretty cool when you're rolling through the ZelCore wallet and you see your own token sitting in there, huh?
Of course. Definitely. And I mean, again, you know, kind of when someone hears the word multi-asset platform, I guess they don't really know what that is until they actually come on the platform themselves, visualize what, actually see for themselves what can be stored. And then it's kind of like, wow, I can have my crypto on here. I can have my, you know, tethered style assets, you know, your kind of, how can I put them? You know, your kind of, yeah, you know, your USDT and any other equivalent.
Right.
You can have your, yeah, exactly. You can have your ETH tokens, you know, you can have regular blockchain coins. It's an absolute achievement by the team to have something that's not only so functional, but absolutely so polished as well.
Great, man. Well, we sure appreciate you hopping on, kind of talking about that, and definitely encourage you to stay on with us because we're going to talk about a couple other things here. You know, we've got a lot of major updates coming here throughout the month of April, as we do every month, to be honest with you. But you know, we recently had an update there in the ZelCore wallet where we integrated Crypto Wolf, and we also had the YouTube video uploaded here by Goose here recently. you're just kind of diving into Binance Dex. So kind of what's been your experience there with the Binance Dex, Goose?
The Dex is really something special because it's completely incorporated within the ZelCore platform. So the way it works is pretty fast, actually. I was really impressed with the speed of the Dex, and that's something that you don't get when you're logging on to an exchange from a website, right? If you go through, even if you're using Chrome or Chromium and you're logging into your Binance account or what have you, there are some lag issues in terms of just the website loading. But when you're running native software, right, on your hardware, you're running this ZelCore platform on your machine, and it's interfacing only with the API, that frees up the hardware to do what it was designed to do, which is basically just take commands and send them. So it speeds up the Dex on the platform, which I really liked. I found it to be very snappy. As soon as you start clicking around, like when you click something and immediately it opens, it gives you such a satisfying feeling of this thing working the way it's supposed to, or the way it was designed to. So I will say that's one of my first observations, was the speed of it. Then, of course, the most important one, let's face it, is the convenience. Why, you don't have to log on, remember all your passwords and all this garbage. You just get your ZelCore username, password, D2FA, boom, you're in the platform. You can start using the exchanges as you want.
And as I watched you roll through that video, and as you mentioned how seamless it was, the reality of it was, if I didn't see the border of that ZelCore wallet, I don't think I would have known the difference that you weren't sitting in Binance Dex, which says so much about how seamless that integration was. Was there any other features that kind of stood out to you, or was there anything else you'd like to add on that deal?
Well, I did check out the Binance Dex by itself. I got and this is not a bad thing by any stretch. So I just got more of a BitShares kind of feel about it. It seems like they've got some influence from BitShares with the UI on the actual Binance Dex. What's really nice about ZelCore is the fact that they have incorporated their own gorgeous UI, which accomplishes all of the same things that you want to see on a DEX, right? You've got your trading view window, you've got the market depth window if you want, you've got your order books, everything is there, and it's beautified, right, in a certain way, because it's ZelCore. This is the other thing. You can use Binance Dex with that beautiful interface, but you can also switch over to, let's say, one of the other APIs when ZelCore Premium is made available, which we'll talk about that in just a minute, that will use this same interface. So talk about familiarity. You can set it up the way you want. You can configure it the way you want. You can put the windows where you want them. And that is your traditional user interface for everything. Why, because you switch from one exchange to another online. And look, I'm all for individuality, throwing your own spin on things. I think that's important, absolutely. But there's also something to be said for everything the way you want it. And that's the beauty of ZelCore. You can set it up your way. You can customize the backgrounds. You can customize the assets you have on your portfolio window. All of that kind of stuff is creature comfort that nobody else is doing, or at least not doing to the extent that ZelCore is.
Right. Now, Growdigi, you're just kind of hearing some of these new features that are going to be integrated. What are your thoughts, just kind of off the hoof?
And yeah, I mean, Goose touched on a really important point, and a really valuable point, I guess, is, the idea of then not having to switch between exchanges and continuously log in and passwords and the whole headache and the security, it would make life so much easier for the trader. Being able to customize these things as well, I guess, like you mentioned, will make such a big difference. Everyone has their own individual taste, their own individual flavor. And sometimes it's a question of, we feel like we're forced into a bad trading experience on an exchange we may not like trading on, just for the sake of it, because we have to trade there. But if you potentially have the option of trading on multiple exchanges within one platform, and it's customized to a particular layout you like, you can just set it like that. It's pretty much a game changer in terms of the trading experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, on the last couple of episodes there, Grow, kind of prior to you being on here, we spoke about an algorithm switch that is going to happen here within Zell to kind of stay ahead of the game in regarding FPGAs and things like that. So in terms of just generally protecting yourself, your project from 51% attacks and all those types of things. What's your philosophy and your thought process regarding that?
I mean, 51% attacks are sometimes difficult with proof of work coins. And I guess again, it just comes down to the network and kind of the health of that, and the kind of economics around what sort of miners are on that, and the availability of it. I mean, one thing what really helps with 51% attacks is having a distributed network, so quite a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake, master nodes, which I know in terms of there's the Zell nodes. So again, like having a hybrid combination of the two just really helps break that up. But then I kind of look at other projects that are now introducing other features, securing themselves via other blockchains. So I guess the technology for the kind of prevention of these things kind of just evolves over time. The most initial one, the easiest one is usually just changing your algorithm to then prevent, any sort of kind of ASICs or FPGA miner coming along. But I guess as with anything, if someone's determined enough, they will always kind of break into any new algorithm that's developed in time, So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of preventing 51% attacks, I guess from a personal opinion, it's nice to see there's kind of now a development in the space, which is kind of making projects a bit more robust.
Right.
Well, that's how I got signed up with Zell, actually. It was through an invitation by the community to create a community pool. It was just kind of a blanket statement. Anybody who knows how to create a pool, can you do that for ZelCore or ZelCash? I looked at it and I was like, well, I have absolutely no experience with that. So I reached out to some friends and they said, yeah, we could probably do that. So there we go. And it's one of those opportunities for community to really, in this case, defend the project, because 51% attacks are real. We know it. We know that people can go over to NiceHash or other places, and I don't want to just dog NiceHash here. I think that's something that too many people do. But the reality is that if you want to pay the money, you can buy the hashing power. So how do we prevent stuff like that from happening in the future? Well, the best way is to continue to sort of develop the algorithms so that we're not running up against that risk of somebody being able to just come in and mine 51% of the hash rate and start pushing through double spends and other things like that. However, the nice thing about the Zell nodes is that they have provided some double spend protection just built into the code, just by the fact that they have that second layer now. So we're making the network even more robust, while at the same time innovating on the proof of work side of things to continue to favor the GPU miners, which is the truly decentralized approach. And I think that's something that's probably the most important aspect of our attention to the proof of work side of things.
There's no question, man. And I think Miles said it really well last week. Just better be proactive than reactive. Trying to be on the backside of that thing, trying to figure out how to recover from a 51% attack. And so as we come to a close here to this episode, I think we'd be remiss if we don't talk a little bit about Premium. We're looking to launch Premium here actually pretty quickly. Looking towards the end of the month in April. And Goose, just what's your thoughts as we're coming close to this launch?
I've been seeing the date April 30th, so we're talking 4th week, and that's fast approaching. We're halfway through April right now, and as we get closer to the launch of ZelCore Premium, what we can expect from that are from out the gate, we're going to have at least 4 exchanges that can be interfaced through ZelCore. So Binance, Bittrex, Kraken, and Gemini. Gemini was the most recent addition, and they're actually one of the first stablecoins that we carried. So it's great. We're very excited to be able to offer that kind of functionality where you can take your account, interface it with ZelCore, and then start to control those exchanges directly from the app. As far as future development in the Premium lineup of different tools that will be made available. We're going to have tons of things, portfolio trackers. We're going to be able to interface in the near future with cold storage, for instance. If you want to incorporate into your online portfolio whatever balances you have in cold storage or on, let's say, ledger storage, right? There's going to be APIs and ways that you can incorporate that so that you can keep full track of every asset that you have. And if you're a wise crypto enthusiast, if you're wise about your investments, you're going to have a certain amount of coins in cold storage. That's the smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
So there's that side of it. We're going to have a news aggregator in there eventually, so that we'll be able to keep up with what's going on in the crypto space, what's happening with the industry. So, and maybe, who knows, that may even be able to be customized. So there's a lot of really helpful features that are going to be packed into ZelCore Premium. Now, of course, that's going to come at a price, and that's something that most of the other types of portfolio tracking applications already do, right? But ours has a bonus, and that is if you sign up for ZelCore Premium with your crypto. So, for instance, if you use Zel to pay for that membership, that monthly fee, you're going to get a 25% discount. So it just gives a use case now to our coin, which I think is probably one of another step in the right direction, right? Because people are always asking, what's the use case of this? And well, clearly we have the platform. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. We've got the node network, which is going to be used for some very, very interesting things in the near future. And then, of course, here's a use for the coin itself. In addition to just staking in a master node or a Zel node, now you can actually spend it and get some benefit out of holding that coin, or maybe put your master node rewards to use by spending it on the ZelCore Premium app, so that you can unlock the full potential of this thing.
Amen. Well, I definitely look forward to hopping in Premium a little bit more, and especially when we get it off the ground, talking a lot more about it. But in the meantime, Growdigi, man, we sure appreciate you being on the podcast with us. I just wanted to make sure I had the chance to kind of plug Proof of Review in. It's proofofreview.com. If you want to go straight to reviews, just check the panel up top, click reviews. And it's going to be a bunch of coins you've noticed before. I've done a great job of kind of reviewing it and talking about it. And of course, if you're looking to connect with Growdigi, directly at Growdigi on Twitter. And once again, Grow, we sure appreciate you, man.
No, thank you very, guys, for having me on. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure, and really excited to kind of see all these features that Goose has mentioned coming out at the end of the month. I've noted it in my calendar now, so I will also be entering that poll to see if I can be one of the beta testers as well. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. And to all of our listeners, if you want to kind of join the conversation, join us on Discord, discord.io/Zel. That'll link you right into our Discord. Also, follow us on social media. Our ZelCore Twitter account is @Zel_core. And our Zel Cash Twitter account, or Zel Twitter account, is @ZelCash. All right, Goose, appreciate you, man.
Hey, you too, Coach. Thank you so much for being on. And Grow, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to have you with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you again.
And there you have it. You've been in the core, powered by Zel. Until next time.